Hello, hello, and welcome to Storytime with the Fairy Doctor. The Doctor is in. Tell me what ails, and I'll tell you a tale. Or rather, as we are over a live stream, I'm going to invite you to take a moment and just muse on what it is that is troubling you, what it is that is calling to your heart, what it is that longing that you feel. And let that flow into join the circle of listeners here, the cauldron of magic from which we will pull today's story. I am Halo Quinn, aka the Fairy Doctor, and I am an author, storyteller, and pagan. And I am here today to dive into my doctor's bag and pull for you some medicinal musings, some magical tale. You hear that? Hear that zip? As we dive into the doctor's bag. So hold just that sense of whatever it is that you need. Take a moment to really be present here. Step into my office. I invite you to come into this space and know that whether you are here live or you are catching a replay, if this has appeared for you, then this tale is for you as well. Now, let me not look and let me feel for which yarn it is. The yarn that has come out is the magic of the stone. So I invite you to take a moment. For I have told a version of this tale before, but today I will tell you another version of this tale. Today, well, this is the story of stone soup. And if you are curious, if you have not caught it before, I invite you to check back through the stories and listen to another tale of stone soup. But this one, well, perhaps it suits today. On the road, there were two fellow friends, two enchanting souls with silver tongues and quick wits. They carried very little with them. Their pack, just a warm blanket and enough clothes to get them through to the next stream. Maybe a tale or two in their heart, because you can get a long way on a good story. These two friends, well, they knew exactly how to make their way through the world, how to make their way without making much of an effort. They strolled arm in arm, whistling their tunes, harmonizing as they had learned to do on their long wanders. Up ahead, they saw a village bustling with people. The village square was alive with conversation, with children running, playing games, with old folk sat on benches feeding the pigeons. Aha, they thought, this is a good spot for some dinner. Underneath the blankets in their packs, they kept thin, shimmering golden cloaks. You know, the kind that you pick up in a Halloween Poundland dollar store type place. The ones that kind of are a little plasticky to the feel, but when they catch the light just right, they glitter and glimmer. They pulled on their golden cloaks, pulled up the hoods, and each from their pockets pulled a stick, painted black with silver stars. Into the village they went, loudly proclaiming their appearance. We are here, and we have a show to show for you. The people gathered round, They waited, holding their breath. And the fellows pulled from their pocket an unassuming pebble. This stone, we can conjure soup from this stone, using only the power of our magic. Ooh, said the crowd. Ah, said the children. Huh, said the old couple sat on the bench. They had seen shows like this before. There'd be a hidden pocket somewhere, or something under their hats. Oh, no, wait, not hats. They're wearing hoods. Up their sleeves, then, maybe. An easy trick to pull off. Soup. Now, maybe that would be something worth watching. Soup from a sleeve. They leaned in. The fellows had the folks' attention. From this stone we can conjure the most delicious soup. But first, of course, we need a pot to put it in. Does anyone have a pot suitable for cooking? And someone cried out, yes, and they dashed into their home and they brought out a pot. And the stone was ceremoniously placed within the pot, and the silver-tipped starred wands swirled above it. The fellows wove with their words tales of the places they had seen, of the beautiful, glorious spires of crystal from where they had found this unassuming petal, or so they said. And as they did, they cried out, and of course, you'd like this soup to be warm, would you not? Someone, bring us fire. And someone brought firewood and made a fire, and the pot was placed upon it. And as they stirred the soup, well, they called out then for water to make the soup go far enough for all to eat. They said, look, no, don't look, you'll spoil the magic. But see, no, don't see, you'll spoil the surprise. Come, no, wait, there. The mist is rising. Bring us water for our spell. And true to form, someone brought a jug of water, and someone brought another, enough to fill the pot. Wonderful, the fellows said. Oh, how marvellous this soup will be. And they pulled a spoon from their pocket and took a taste. Oh, this is delicious. And they told tales of the stars that they had seen, and in between, speaking of the constellations of Taurus and Aries, they said, you know what would make this soup even better? What? They said, oh, if anyone has just an old leg of meat, a bone with a little bit of roast left on it. And sure enough, someone put it in the pot. They continued telling their tales, and as they spoke of Virgo, the bountiful sign of Demeter, the harvest goddess, They mentioned other vegetables that perhaps could make the soup even better. They tasted it and oohed and ahed over how delicious it was, and sure enough, people brought them vegetables as well. And they continued weaving their tails around the zodiac of the sky until they got all the way to Pisces, the fish that swam down the stream into the sea. And they said, you know what would make this perfect? Salt. Salt like the salt of the sea. And sure enough, one of the old couple on the bench brought some over. Just enough went in the pot. Come and see, come and see, come and look, come and look. Bring your bowls and your spoons. And the people gathered round. See the magic that has blossomed from our stone. And sure enough, in the pot was soup. Soup that smelled delicious. Soup that was rich and full of story. People took bowls of the soup and their spoons, and the fellows took bowls and their spoons, and the fire was carefully stoked to keep going, the pot removed so that it would just stay warm. Everyone feasted. And the fellows, as the sun set over the horizon, gently scooped their pebble from the pot, folded away at the back of the crowd their golden cloaks, tucked their wands in their pockets, and wrapped themselves under blankets under the starry night sky to sleep. In the morning, they were gone, and all that was left were the embers of the fire. Of course, I say the fellows knew how to conjure food without effort. But telling tales, well, perhaps that was a gift that they brought, even so. The medicine of this story, the magic here for those of you that have appeared, live or on the replay, the medicine here is to use what you have. Share what you have. And when you share freely and generously, as the villagers did, as the fellows did, though they had a little bit of trickiness in their tale, for they didn't tell the villagers that they were hungry. Instead, they gave and asked. And the villagers listened and gave in return. Each offered what they had, and each got what they needed. Each one in that space, in that moment, had an experience that nourished them, that fed them. So the medicine here, your prescription, in fact, is, as I take my quill and my prescription pad, to write down each day or name aloud one thing you have that you can give, and one thing you do not that you can ask for. For it is true that when we do not know what we have, we do not know what we can give. That doesn't mean that we don't give anyway. We just don't know how to value what we've got. And the fellows that travelled through with their abundance of tales did not trust in what they had. Because if they did, they'd have known that they could have been honest in their offering and honest in their trade. And perhaps they would have had many more nights of big pots of community soup. As it was, just the one, and on they went. And of course, that is one way to live. And this tells us something about magic, about the magician's craft, about the cunning folks' cunning craft, about the witch's way. And that is that when we know what we have, we know what we can call on. When we trust what we have, we trust on what we can call on. And when we offer and ask, if we know what we wish to ask for, then we are more likely to get it. So let me make this clear. The cunning craft, it is said of old, was taught to us by the fair folk, and the medicine they weave, of course, is woven in story. That is how we receive it, how we pass it on. Story and vision. And that story and that vision is rooted in relationship, in connection, in community. Community between ourselves and our fellow human beings, and community between ourselves and the spirits, the fair folk. Now, if you'd like to take a little less spiritual view of this, then I invite you to bring this back into the animistic idea, understanding, animistic worldview, and to remember that each thing in the world has its own life, more or less agency, more or less independence, more or less consciousness, more or less sentience, more or less sapience. But each being in the world has its own life, its own spirit. And the easy places for us to begin to see this, where we wouldn't necessarily normally, is in the trees in the forest and the plants, when we take a moment to recognize that they are living beings too, that we can be in relationship with. And we begin to think about how we can be together, live alongside each other, rather than in competition, rather than with entitlement, rather than taking. And when it comes to the cunning craft, that relationship, that being with, that give and take, that trust, well, that is where we can meet the spirits, meet the deities, meet the angels, meet the saints, meet the beings that we walk alongside who would like to help us. And we can offer to them in honesty and receive in truth, knowing that in that trust, in that connection, we can do so again when we need to, when we are hungry, or when we simply have a tale we wish to offer. Pun from the misspeaking, not intended, but perfect. My dears, thank you for joining me here today. I am Halo Quinn. The Fairy Doctor is now out the office is closed. I invite you, if you would like to learn about the magic of story, to check out my new book coming out next Tuesday, the 28th of January, Storytelling for Magic, to explore how you can find clues to the magic in story and how you can weave story into ritual and spells. Skills that you can glean from the bardic path to help support your workings, and ways in which you can use your breath and your words to re-enchant your life and thus the world. Tuesday evening, 8 p.m. UK time, I'm hosting a book launch party for Storytelling for Magic. There will be a little bit of magic, a little bit of reading, a little bit of Q&A. Come and ask all those burning questions. And I have a special surprise for what comes next. Come, join us in the Enchanted Academy. Links in the description below as soon as this live stream is finished. And in my bio, if you want to go and click now. Remember to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and as always, may your way be enchanted and may story always bless your heart.